Felicia Hardy is built by emmacortana. She's just so ripped, it's insane. Felicia slides into his seat next to Peter and steals his fry. Vulture, he hisses at her, and she munches unbothered. I need my fuel, she says, totally unconcerned with Peter hoarding his lunch closer to him. Calorie surplus and all that. Tim frowns at her. Isn't it a calorie deficit? Felicia gives him a distasteful look. Only if you're a skinny-ass weak pussy bitch, she says, sounding very bored. I'm hitting the gym tonight. I need my calories. I don't know how you do it, Peter mutters into his fries. I hate the gym. Not that he can get a good workout anymore in any normal gym, but he hated the super gyms back home too. He's as strong as he needs to be anyhow. Felicia rolls her eyes. Some of us don't like to be sticks, he says, looking pointedly at Peter's skinny little wrists. I've got to get my gains. Duke raises an eyebrow at her, light-hearted and amused. Felicia Hardy's a gym bro? The biggest gym bro, Peter grumbles. She's more stacked than me. Everyone's more stacked than you, Felicia snorts. I just happen to be more stacked than everyone else, too. Don't worry, babe. I'll protect you. She steals another fry. Really? Tim asks, sounding somewhat skeptical. Felicia narrows her eyes at him. I could take you down any day, Shrimp. I don't know, Duke muses. I know he looks like a stick, but Tim's stronger than he looks. Felicia works out every day, Peter warns. Technically. So does Tim, Steph butts in, but I hope she kicks his ass. Tim looks at her, betrayed. Peter sighs. Just arm wrestle and get over with it, he complains. Some of us don't care about your gains. Felicia shrugs. I'm gonna beat his skinny little ass. Yeah, you do that, babe, Peter says dryly. Wait, bets, Steph says. I know who I want to win. Duke tilts his head contemplatively. But we all know how athletic Tim is, he weighs, and then looks at Peter curiously. Who do you think? Felicia. He answers immediately, no question in his voice. Duke blinks. How certain are you? Felicia, he says again. Tim doesn't look offended, and he isn't condescending, just skeptical and curious. But then Felicia shrugs her school uniform blazer off, and everyone stares at her in awe. Dude, Duke revers. You're swole. Told ya, Peter says, nonchalantly sipping on his apple juice. Felicia's biceps flex as she takes position across the table from Tim, who looks impressed but not worried. He takes her hand. Steph is set as the judge. If you embarrass him really hard, I'll buy you a smoothie, Steph tells Felicia. Even if you don't, we should still go out for smoothies. Felicia snickers. Don't worry, you'll be paying. I like the confidence, Steph says. Okay, 3, 2, 1, go. Felicia immediately slams Tim's hand down on the table. What the? Tim exclaims as Felicia preens. Duke and Steph stare at the table with wide eyes. I owe you a smoothie? Steph says, stunned. Told ya, Peter says again, sipping his juice, wholly unsurprised. Hold on a sec, Duke says. How'd you do that? Tim's pretty strong. Felicia checks her nails. I'm stronger. Stacked, Peter echoes. Absolutely shredded. Okay, Duke says, slightly indignant. Me next. He shoves Tim aside, taking his seat. Tim still looks shocked. Duke is bigger than Tim, and he's more muscular too, but Peter knows that isn't going to help him against Felicia. I'm telling you, she's beefed. Peter tries to convince him down. Almost no one is stronger than she is. Duke wiggles his fingers from where his elbow is placed on the table. Felicia gives in and takes his hand. She beats him embarrassingly easy. Holy shit, Steph kind of sounds delighted, even if she's disbelieving. You've got to show me your gym routine. We can hit up after smoothies, Felicia offers, taking more fries. I can spot you. Steph grins. Tim hasn't stopped staring at Felicia in disbelief and kind of awed. Both of us, he demands, taking his seat next to Duke instead. At once. Duke nods, determined. Felicia sighs and holds out her hand. She wins. They've started going to Felicia for gym advice now. Felicia's equally smug and annoyed about it when Tim or Duke drill her relentlessly about how many reps they should be doing and what positions they should be having. Peter snorts. They don't know that she has a huge advantage in the form of an enhancement, though He has to admit her enhancement is not very strong, unlike Peter, whose muscles were defined through his mutation. Felicia had to work to get hers where she is now. You should come over, Duke invites her, and Felicia immediately freezes. We have a huge gym in our manor. Please, spot us, please. Peter glances at her worriedly. Maybe not, he interjects. We're busy tonight. They're not. Tim's looking at Felicia with a stormy look on his face. Steph lives with us too, he says slowly. It's not just us. Peter ends up going along. He sits aside from the group, inhaling cookies that their freaking butler brought them. Alfred had looked Peter up and down and then immediately left to go make sandwiches. Felicia is bench pressing 150 pounds like it's nothing. Peter knows she can go much, much higher. Maybe not without revealing her enhancement, hence the somewhat reasonable weight she's at now, but still. Duke, Tim, and Steph look like they want to take honest-to-God notes. Alfred returns with a platter of food, and Peter looks at him with stars in his eyes. His fucking hero. He doesn't give a second glance to where Felicia's deadlifting 300 pounds. Master Bruce is home, he announced instead to Tim, Duke, and Steph before leaving. Duke perks up. I have an idea, he slowly says. Felicia, you have to arm wrestle Bruce. Felicia lowers the weight, dropping it on the floor. She looks apprehensive, but Tim's already jumping on that idea. You have to, he says. He's the only one who can beat you. And then, from there, there's no way Felicia can back out of that challenge. Tim almost sprints out of the room to go get him. Felicia shoots Peter a look like she's regretting everything she's ever done that's led her to being the resident gym bro. Peter shrugs at her and shoves another sandwich in his mouth. If you beat Bruce, I'll give you my car, Steph says. She really has to stop making these bets. When will they learn that almost no one is stronger than Felicia? Tim drags a man into a room, looking confused and resigned to being carted around. He marches him towards the table and forces him to sit down. Arm out, he commands, and the man shoots him a bewildered look but complies. This is Bruce, Duke introduced, gleeful like he's about to see the match of a century. B, this is Peter and Felicia. We're trying to see if anyone can break Felicia's arm wrestling winning streak. Impossible, Peter says again, even though he knows no one will listen to him. I'm telling you, she's only ever lost once. Felicia sticks her tongue out at him. Steph loops an arm with Felicia's and leads her to the opposite of Bruce. He's tall and broad, definitely more fit than Peter would have expected a businessman. On paper, it looks like such an easy fight with the odds stacked against a 17-year-old girl, but Peter's learned to never bet against Felicia Hardy. Well, no one's ever beat Bruce, Tim says. Bets? Felicia. Peter answers immediately. He has no doubt. Bruce, Duke says, 100%. Steph sighs. For the record, I'm rooting for you, she tells Felicia, but Bruce is like inhuman. Bruce has a dead expression on his face. Felicia, Peter repeats again with all the confidence in the world. Felicia sighs as she slips into the chair, taking Bruce's hand, who looks like he'd rather be doing anything else. Tim, he says, voice low and rough. I'm not sure if this is the best. Don't hold back, Tim interrupts and said. 3, 2, 1, go. Bruce's hand slams onto the table. You didn't even try, Felicia accuses, but Bruce is too busy staring at her. He sets his jaw. Again, he says, his eyes steely this time. Peter snorts. Felicia, he calls it again. No way she's not winning. Steph hushes him, so invested into the match as she is. Bruce takes off his blazer, setting his elbow on the table and taking position. Oh, he's playing to win this time. Too bad Felicia doesn't like losing. Second match, Tim says, delighted. For real this time. Ready? 3, 2, 1, go. It takes a moment. It might not have been noticeable to some people, but it's noticeable to Peter. He can see. It takes a moment where they're putting all their strength into it, and the hands aren't moving at all. The moment lasts all of 3 seconds. Felicia slams his hand into the table. She turns to Steph, whose mouth is parted open in shock. You owe me a car. Everyone is staring at Felicia in complete disbelief. Bruce, most of all. It's dead silent. Peter coughs awkwardly, sliding up to Felicia. My beautifully buff queen, he says dryly, to snap them out of their stupor, if anything. I never doubted you. She raises an eyebrow at him, obviously pleased with herself. She always loved putting men into their place. You should know better. I do, he says truthfully. Told you guys, he tells the rest of them. Nobody ever wins against Felicia. Tim pauses, picking his jaw up from the ground. Except one, he says, and his voice is uneven. Jesus, they really must have expected Bruce to win. You said one person beat her. Oh yeah, Peter muses. Just the one. Who was it? Superman? Duke laughs, disbelieving and grappling. Because I think she's stronger than freaking Batman, dude. Peter pauses. Well, I don't know about that, he denies, even though she almost definitely is. It probably would be a bit too obvious of an enhancement to beat Batman in an arm wrestling match. No, he's right, Steph says, hoarse. Who beat you? Felicia sniffs, indignant, the way she always does about this. Peter, she mutters, and hell, he's surprised he's even admitting it. Tim blinks. Letting him win because he's your boyfriend doesn't count. Peter would be offended, except, yeah, he looks like a twig, and they don't know he's genetically all fucked up, and Felicia looks like 8 bodybuilders in one. Peter grins at him. Well, now you know why I don't have to go to the gym, he says, amused. My big buff gym girlfriend is swole enough for the both of us. Stacked, Felicia agrees. Absolutely shredded. Beefed, Peter adds on. Jacked. Felicia rolls her eyes, sliding out of her seat and sauntering over to the weight she dropped earlier. I'm going to finish up my reps. Now, did you invite me over to get workout tips or not? Bruce ends up staying to learn from her.